Hello and welcome back to Seconds Out. Ayman Khan here once again with top mind for boxing, James Ali Bashir. James, it's great to see you. Great to speak to you once more. How you doing?
Always good to see you, my man. Always good to see you.
I see you in the team of Vlad Serenko, a jumper. How is Vlad? In terms of his teaching and his progression in the sport, how is Vlad doing?
Vlad is a very studious boxer. I think I expect so much from him, because he's very studious. It is I've trained boxers over my 57 years in the sport, and though they possessed a lot of tools, they were sometimes it was like pulling teeth. But Vlad Serenko is not like that. Vlad Serenko is a very studious guy. If I tell him you're doing something wrong or this needs to be corrected, this needs to be worked on, he takes it with a grain of salt and he does it.
And he's signed with Queensbury Promotions, hasn't he, as well, too, with Frank Warren. He's got a real eye for talent.
Yes, yes, he's signed with Queensbury.
Brilliant. Looking forward to seeing Vlad back in action. Let's get into some of the boxing talk I want to get your takes on. First of all, it seems unlikely now that Anti Joshua is, and I believe it's now been confirmed it's off. There's no rematch for Joshua and Dubois. Do you think this is the right call from Team Joshua to not take the rematch?
Well, I think that, in my opinion, I think that um, his promoter is playing it close to the vest to see what happens with the Fury Usyk fight.
Hmm.
He doesn't want to make that fight with Dubois because he sees bigger fish to fry if he can bring Joshua to a confrontation with Fury.
Hmm.
So that's why, there's some hesitation for Joshua to get in with Dubois again. It's a risky fight, and it's more better for the Joshua to fight Fury from a money standpoint. So that's what I think that Eddie Hearn is looking at.
If if he is to take on Tyson Fury next, ideally, would you like to see him have an interim fight to not go straight into a fight with Tyson Fury having had a knockout loss like that?
Well, Anthony Joshua has been in the saddle for quite some time now, and he's been in some really good fights. So the clock is ticking on Anthony Joshua. I think that he's just about at the end. So why not try to make as much money as he can to walk away? Because I don't think that Anthony Joshua has a lot left. I think he's at the end now, emotionally, physically. I think that he's near the end. So yeah, he's trying to cash out now.
Do you think he has a greater chance of beating Fury than Dubois?
I think that it's just as risky fighting Fury as it is fighting Dubois.
Hmm.
I think that it's risky, risky, risky. You know, it's just hard to gauge where Anthony Joshua is at this point in his career. After the knockout loss to Dubois, it's hard to gauge where he is emotionally. Does he have the ability to come back, to bounce back? That was in my mind a devastating knockout where he couldn't even get up. He couldn't get up.
Mhm.
So it's hard to gauge where he is in
There's
boxing. But I think he's at the end of the road.
there's talk that regardless of the outcome against Usyk versus Fury the second time round, and hypothetically, let's say that Tyson Fury does beat Oleksandr Usyk, Joshua would be the one that'd be first in line for the fight for Fury, as opposed to maybe Daniel Dubois, who's the IBF title holder. In kind of the truest sense of the word, I guess, is Dubois not the one deserving of that opportunity to fight for undisputed again if Fury does beat Usyk?
I think that Dubois is more deserving of the shot because after all, Anthony is coming off the loss. But commercially, from a commercial standpoint, Anthony would be better for Fury.
Okay. In terms of Daniel Dubois, though, he's searching for an opponent in the IBF rankings now. He's been allowed a voluntary opponent. Who would you like to see in the opposite corner to Dubois?
Versus Dubois?
Yeah, so you've got some names. You've got Caballel, Bacoli. You have Gilles Zhang, Joe Parker. You have names like Guido Vianello.
He's got a tough luck. Those some good guys.
Hmm.
Those are legitimate guys. Either one of those guys, I would like to see him in with. You know, I'd like to see him in with, but those are some good guys. The guys you just named, those are some good guys, and he'd have his hands full with either one of those guys.
It seems like one of the front runners right now are Parker and Zhang. Of the two, which one do you think is the tougher fight?
I think Zhang is the tougher fight.
Hmm.
I think Zhang is the tougher fight.
Why?
Well, on his recent outings, I'm basing it on his recent outings. I think that Parker Dubois would have an easier time handling Parker. It's not to discredit Parker as a good boxer.
Hmm.
I just think that Dubois would be more apt to do better against Parker as opposed to Zhang. Zhang will be more competitive for him.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I'm underestimating Joseph Parker.
I want to ask you as well to the now move towards the Usyk versus Fury rematch. Tyson Fury has said that he's going to be keeping his corner, Sugar Hill, Andy Lee, and John Fury. What's your opinion on that same corner guiding him into the rematch against Usyk?
Hey, different strokes for different folks. You know, I think that Fury, he's at this point. I don't think that there's much that people could do give him as far as training or teaching him new tricks. Fury is going to fight like Fury. Fury's going to do what Fury wants to do. You know, yeah, he'll take some advice, some tidbits here and there, but overall, when the air gets thick in there, Fury's going to just be Fury. So I don't think that the corner will affect him much. It's just the way that things is in the Fury corner.
It has been said, though, I think Andy Lee has stated that they're going with that one voice will be in the corner, and that will be Sugar Hill's voice. So there won't be the back and forth between it.
You know, look, Andy Lee is a guy I worked with a lot in the Crump gym. Andy Lee and I were always close.
Mm-hmm.
But Andy is saying something, but in the heat of the battle, things change. All right. Sugar Hill might be the voice going in there, but when the heat in the heat of the battle, it's hard to say who's going to say what in that point. Sugar Hill might be the advice giver. You know, I think Usyk wins the fight anyway.
Before we get into that further kind of delve into the fight, Tyson has also said on social media that he feels like, look, I was in great shape for the first fight, but that's not the true version of myself. I need to be heavier. I need to be the version of myself that fought Wilder the second and third time. Do you think from a Fury point of view, that's the right way to go? Be a bit heavier?
He's going to try to impose his weight, his size, his girth on Oleksandr Usyk. But Usyk is going to be who Usyk is always: elusive, quick, sharp, in and out kind of guy. There's no shame in Usyk's game. Usyk is going to be Usyk. Usyk is not going to change anything. Usyk is just going to be a better version of what he was the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Tyson has had time to reassess, reevaluate what he's done in the first fight, so has Usyk. Usyk has sat down and looked back on the different flaws that he showed in the first fight, and he's going to correct them too. So I don't see that much. He can come in heavy as he wants to. It's not going to make a difference to Oleksandr Usyk.
Can you give me an insight into just the mind of Oleksandr Usyk? Because when I have some discussions with people in the industry, they feel that they're going to be picking Fury to beat Usyk this time, and they feel that because Usyk has done it all now, the motivation might not be there as much as it was before he got undisputed. Is that not the case?
They had this fight between Usyk Fury, the first fight. They had the fight closer than what I had it.
Hmm.
They said it was razor thin. I didn't see it like that. I don't think it was razor thin. You know, I think that Usyk beat him hands down. I think they saved Fury from being KO'd by Usyk. You know, they said, "Oh, when Fury fell against the ropes, should have been considered as a knockdown." But if you notice, if you go back and look at the fight, he sagged against the ropes before that.
Hmm.
The referee didn't do anything. It wasn't the first time that he had went against the ropes. When he went against the ropes, referee stepped in and said, I had to give him a count because he sagged against the ropes. But if you look back, he sagged against the ropes before that.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't say a single thing. So in my mind, the referee saved Fury from being KO'd in that fight because Usyk sure had him. He had him in a fix. He had him in a fix. He had him in a place where he's going to knock him out.
Mm-hmm.
And Fury was signed, sealed, and ready to go. You know, and the referee stepped in and gave him that little bit of time. So I think that Usyk knows that the deck is stacked against him. They know that they want. They know that commercially they could do some things with Fury on the way out. Tons of money is involved with this here. But I think that Oleksandr Usyk is going to pull it out. He's an enigma. He's going to pull it out. He's going to find a way to pull it out. Good fight as it may be, Usyk is going to pull it out.
Does he do anything differently the second time round, do you feel?
Who, Usyk?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll show you. He'll do something differently. He'll be better than he was in the first fight. That's the difference.
Hmm.
The guy has a lot of pride, a lot of dig down. In boxing, they call it dig down when it counts. When people assume that he's going to be ready for the operating table, he's going to dig down. He's going to fight. I got Usyk winning this fight by the skin of his chin as it may be, but I got him winning the fight. People, the fans and pundits
Hmm.
and boxing people in general, trainers and other boxers, they don't know Oleksandr Usyk the way that I know Oleksandr Usyk.
Hmm.
They don't know him up close and personal the way I learned him in the time that I worked with him. This guy has a lot of pride. He has a lot of dig down, and he's not going to be pushed around by nobody. And the bigger and tougher the guy is, the bigger and tougher Usyk is. The guy has a lot of heart, a lot of concentration, good chin, good skills. He's going to dig down. So as good as Fury's going to bring the fight to him and put pressure on him, I'm telling you, if anybody can pull a rabbit out of a hat, Oleksandr Usyk is the guy that can do it.
Moving on. Go on.
I told people years ago, and this is when Usyk was still boxing at cruiserweight. This is before he won the title. I told them then, number one, I told them that Usyk can punch better than what people gives him credit for. Number two, I said Usyk takes a good punch. All right. I said, Usyk can outbox the average guy. I told him that Usyk is going to be the heavyweight champion of the world. This is 2-3 fights before he even became the champion. This is before he became the cruiserweight champion. I said that he'd become the heavyweight champion because I know what I'm seeing. I've been around this thing my whole life, from a young man all up. I've been there. I've seen it. I've been around the best of them. I've seen them all, and this guy is something different.
Another topic I want to get your thoughts on is the return to the ring of he is still a heavyweight great and widely regarded, but Mike Tyson is returning to the ring against Jake Paul. James, do you ever think you'd see the day?
I don't like it. I'm not a fan of that kind of thing, you know. I mean, maybe Mike is into what he's doing, but I don't like this kind of thing. I never even watched Roy Jones versus Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
I never saw any of them. I just see one round. I didn't pay attention to it. It's hard for me to watch that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Just not attracted to it. It doesn't do anything for me. You know, me being the boxing person I am, it doesn't do anything for me. It's like some kind of a sideshow, you know. I don't like it.
Do you worry for Mike?
No, Mike Tyson knows how to take care of himself, you know. He knows how to take care of himself. He won't get hurt, you know. He's been in some tough battles all of his life, so he knows how to protect himself. You know, even if he's down and out to his last, he knows how to take care of himself. So I don't worry about it.
Ask you as well, did you catch the recent Saudi card which featured Ben Whitaker? A lot of kind of UK interest and American interest in Ben because of his flashy style, but the fight ended a little bit bizarrely with Ben and his opponent Liam Cameron tumbling over the top rope, and Ben was unable to continue that fight. Did you have a chance to see that fight? And what did you assess of that situation?
Tidbits and stuff. It's hard for me to be attracted to that kind of boxing, you know? It's like some kind of a sideshow. So it's hard for me to pay attention to it. I saw some of it, you know, but I didn't pay any particular, because I knew that Ben was going to run into that level of boxing.
Mm.
He just hasn't been on that level yet, but that was his introduction to that level of boxing.
Mm.
You know, but he has some work to do. He has some work to do, you know, but that kind of exposed him. They was pushing him as though he was going to be on an elite level by himself. But that exposed him and said, no. This is the way boxing goes, not that way. So, you know, now he's got to go back and go to work.
I know something that you did see though was TimZos' defeat by Bakram Murtazaliev. What did you see unfold then?
And I think that TimZos needs to go back to the drawing board, and he needs to be reassess what he's doing.
Mm.
The people that's around him, they might be expecting too much. I've seen this a dozen times in the sport of boxing. People get on the bandwagon and say, yeah, TimZos is going to be this, is going to be that. I've seen that over and over and over and over and over and over again in boxing, where people just jump on the bandwagon and say that he's going to be this, he's going to be that. No, he needs to go back to the drawing board and go through the step by steps. If he doesn't, he's going to be ruined. And he needs to bring in, he can keep his team, but he needs to bring in other old school teachers to teach him the do's and don'ts. Because he made some mistakes in that fight, and he made some mistakes prior to that fight. He made some mistakes in that fight, and he made some mistakes prior to that fight. because he's gung ho. He's trying to. Um, they used to say when the Superman, the old Superman, the black and white Superman used to come on, and they said he's able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. It don't work like that in boxing. It doesn't work, and that's what happened in the Fundora fight.
Hmm.
You can't just go in there and blow everybody out. He's talking about he wanted to fight Crawford.
Yeah.
It would have been a disaster. Well, I thought it was going to be a disaster anyway. He kept asking for Crawford. I said, that's a disaster. He's not ready for Crawford because the technical points of boxing, TimZos has totally missed it. He's with all the hype, he's jumping like Ben Whitaker. You can't leave a void. There's no just jumping over different segments of boxing and get to the spot where you don't go through this head level. No, I'll jump over his head because I'm that good. And I'll jump up, and he missed something by jumping over. So he's got to go back and bring in a teacher that's going to teach him, slow him down. Slow him down. That kid beat him and stopped him because Azu was overlooking this guy.
Yeah.
He was overlooking me. He thought, I'll go and I'll do this here to the guy. And the guys, by him overlooking him, now the guy's a champion, and Zoo is on the outside looking in. Boxing just doesn't work like that. Everybody in boxing now is rah, rah, rah in the locker room stuff, Everybody wants a champion. So what we do, we're going to put them in a jar, shake them up, stir them up, and say, here's your champion. It doesn't work like that. You've got to go through the ABCs to get to the outcome of Z. You got to go through it all. Nobody's going to come in and now Zoo has been beaten by Fundora. Then he's been beaten by this last kid.
Yeah.
He can't make no more mistakes. He can't make the mistakes. And he took a beating in that fight too. So you can't keep making. He's got to go back. He's got to bring in somebody. Maybe somebody is in Australia. Maybe somebody from Australia. If not, go outside Australia. But you got to get a teacher in that team to teach them the do's and don'ts going into fights, especially that level of fighting. If you look back, he doesn't have the resume to even be at that level yet. But he's pushed himself there, So he's there. He's got the gamble now,
James.
But if he keeps going the way he's going, he's going to be ruined. He's got to bring in a teacher. Yeah, you can keep your team, but they gotta. If they bring in a teacher, they gotta respect the teacher. Let the teacher teach. Slow him down a little bit. Let him look around. Let him look around and find out what he's doing wrong and how to get it right.
James, I appreciate your thoughts. It's been great to speak to you once again. Thank you for speaking to Seconds Out, sir. And we'll catch up very, very soon.
I look forward to it. Have a good night.